It's just fantastic.
Captain's log, subdate 200915.6. Okay, I saw that whale again. Now this ship is larger, our weapons vaster. Wait, I still have that sushi place on speed dial. Welcome everyone to the halls of injustice. Before we start, I'm streaming on Twitch some fishing. If you're at all interested in watching a casual game and some pleasant chit-chat, by all means join, link below. What I've noticed here with this series is, we seem to have some very interesting crimes, but they all side with the more extreme. What we need is something ad-friendly. And I can promise you this, the next two after this are not. One of them is going to be somewhat longer format, as about 20 minutes ago at time of recording, a sentence was finally administered to my former MP, a man I in fact voted for in 2017, Charlie Elphick, the self-titled naughty boy. So today we should talk about something in a different country. We don't usually branch out from the United Kingdom, but today we're going to go to Barbara Feutasie's nation of Slovenia. I assume she runs the place. It is interesting to note, the average income around there, and this is relevant to the video, is 1,000 euros a month, which, I'll be honest, isn't too shabby really. I'd be happy earning 1,000 fake currency a month. But as with all, it might not be enough to some. So for this, we need to enter Julija, or Julija, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm going to call you Miss Adlešič, and her boyfriend, who after perusing a dozen articles, I can safely surmise his name is Mr. Oddly Unnamed. Okay. Before we even continue with this, I do want to highlight something that bugged me greatly about what we're covering. I went through, as earlier stated, about 10 articles. All of them give differing numbers. Now you can, in some, make it make sense when you include an entire lifetime of receiving payments. Yes. But the numbers range from 400,000 euros to over 1.2 million euros, which makes this incredibly irritating. For the sake of it, we're going to put it right in the middle at 700,000 euros, which isn't right in the middle, but it is the one number that seemed oddly consistent with a number of articles too. The others were all different. So back in 2018, Miss Adlešič and Mr. Oddly Unnamed worked together. I don't know what they did because not one single article tells me what they did. However, I can surmise safely it was a family-run business outdoors. While working together, Miss Adlešič took out 5 insurance policies. These policies were very useful. Now, it should be pointed out, most self-employed people, in my country especially, have to have insurance anyway to protect the customer, not yourself. Although since I work predominantly on my computer, this one baffles me. Then again, if someone wants to make an insurance claim against my offensive content, they can go ahead. I don't care enough. A year later, something rather unfortunate happened to Miss Adlešič. While using a circular saw to cut branches, Miss Adlešič slipped. In doing so, from about a third of the way down her forearm, the rest came off. So her boyfriend and his family rushed her to hospital. She was then treated and of course made to feel super comfortable. With this in mind, it seems understandable to realise 5 insurance policies. She's going to get set for life because this is, after all, a permanent disability. She was at the time only 20, so this is quite something really, isn't it? Quite a horrific accident. Well, not long after, the police arrested Miss Adlešič, Mr. Oddly Unnamed, and Mr. Oddly Unnamed's family for insurance fraud. During the trial, Miss Adlešič took the stand and claimed her innocence, saying, "No one wants to be crippled. My youth has been destroyed and only I know how it happened." Well, a day before the accident, Mr. Oddly Unnamed had been searching artificial limbs on his computer, something which the police noticed when they searched the home and the computer. Apparently it was just the tab left on the screen because he hadn't put it on sleep mode or shut it down. The court also proved that the reason they left the arm behind was to make the injury permanent. We'll come back to that later. It is worth noting now, it wasn't just Miss Adlešič that had these insurance policies, it was actually a whole group of them that had them. And Miss Adlešič had to be encouraged to do this. It is also worth noting on top of this that Mr. Oddly Unnamed, in all but one article that I have literally just found called the Slovenia News, that was translated rather badly but translated nonetheless, has named Mr. Oddly Unnamed as Sebastian Abramov, who is also being tried as a suspected ender of lives of Sarah Weber, who was his girlfriend at the time of her passing in 2015, with Mr. Abramov claiming it was a shooting accident. So understandably, while they claimed their innocence, back on track with the story here, they were both, along with a couple of others in fact, Mr. Abramov, or Oddly Unnamed, I'm going to call him Oddly Unnamed, his father and his father's wife were also, along with them, found guilty, both of whom were handed 1-year suspended sentences on 2-year probation. Abramov's mother was found not guilty. Mr. Oddly Unnamed was found guilty and sentenced to 3 years in prison for this charge. The other one has yet to be finalized. Miss Adlešič was also found guilty and sentenced to 2 years in prison. When sentencing, the judge said, "We believe the sentences are fair and appropriate and will serve their purpose," along with noting that the ruling was made based on evidence and not anyone's appearances. I'm assuming discrimination is a common theme in Slovenian courts when that has to be said. Or it was a sly dig at everyone that turned up to court looking remarkably flashy, like Miss Adlešič, because it was believed by others that it was her way of trying to make it look like she was not capable of causing such harm to her body on purpose. As far as the sentences go for insurance fraud, sure, if these are the correct sentences for Slovenian courts, go nuts. But there's one last detail I left out of this. One that I should have mentioned a little earlier, but actually I think it's a good punchline to end this on. Miss Adlešič was encouraged to remove her arm with a circular saw and feign a work-related accident to the tune of possibly a lifetime supply of money of about €3,000 a month, which could rack up into over 1 million fake monies. They left her arm at the scene, but the scene wasn't that far from the hospital, so the police went and collected it and reattached it